This is 2.4 writing linear equations. So today, I can write equation in point slope and slope intercept form. And I really want you to understand the difference between those two and why they're important, between point slope and slope intercept form. So 1 through 4, just a little review. Trying to find the slope. Remember, the slope is m is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. We've been doing this for a while. This is your x1, your y1, x2, y2. So to find the slope, it's going to be -9 minus -9 over 0 minus 2. These two -9 becomes a plus. So you get 9 plus 9, that's 18 over -2, and your slope is going to be -9. The next section, 5 through 10, this is the newer material. So writing this in point slope form. So you might recall, point slope form is of the form y minus y1 is equal to m x minus x1. This looks pretty much, it's very similar to the slope equation. It just moved around to make it look this way. So if you look at number 5, this is your x1, this is your y1, and your slope, this is your m. So you're just going to plug it in to that equation with that form. So you start off with the y. We don't do anything to the y. It says y minus y1. So I put the minus first, and then I put the y1, including that negative sign. So this whole thing is that thing. Times m is -3, and then x minus x1, which is 1. So x1 is right there. So then we just got to simplify this a little bit. Just like we said in number 1, we have two negatives, it becomes a positive. So here I get y is plus 1 is equal to -3 x minus 1. And you can leave it like that. That's an acceptable answer for point slope form. So that is your answer. Pretty straightforward. Do another one. Number 8. So this one, just one extra step. You don't know what your m is, so you got to find your m. So m is equal to, so I'm just going to call these really quick, x1, y1, x2, y2. So m is equal to 4 minus a -2, 0 minus a -1. And again, I have 2 minus here, that becomes a positive, so I get 4 plus 2. 4 plus 2, and the bottom I get positive 1, so that gives you a 6 over 1. And your slope, m is equal to 6. So now once we have the m, now we can put it into your point slope form. We already labeled our x1, y1 right here, so we don't need to label anymore. So y minus y1 is equal to your m, which is your 6, times x minus x1. x1 is -2. So then let's simplify this. Y plus 1 is equal to 6, x plus 2. And again, leave your answer just like that. Okay, 11 through 19. 11 through 19 is, we're going to do exactly the same thing we did to 5 and 8. It's just that now you got to simplify it down so that y is on one side by itself. So points or slope intercept form, this is what we did on Friday's assignment, where we had to write y equals mx plus b. This is this is slope intercept form. So that's just saying you have a y in front, m is your slope, the x doesn't change, and b is just your intercept. We'll talk about that in the coming weeks. So number 1, so we're going to start this off I'm writing this in point slope form. So again, y minus y1 is equal to m x minus x1. So I can label these as my x1, my y1, and this is my m. So y minus a negative 3 is equal to my slope, which is 1, x minus a negative 1. So I'm going to simplify these down. Y plus 3 is equal to 1 times x plus 1. So now the only difference, like I said before, is slope intercept form. You need this y by itself in the front. So that's what we're going to do with this one. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to distribute the right side. So I get y plus 3 is equal to 1x plus 1. And then the last thing you have to do, make y by itself. So I'm going to subtract 3 to both sides. So my answer is y equals to 1x minus 2. 1 minus 3 is negative 2. So that's your answer right there. It's just a little bit more step, but it's pretty much exactly the same as what you've done up there. Let's do one that has a fraction. So again, let's label x1, y1. This is your m. So I have y minus y1 is equal to your m, 5 over 2, just a fraction, x minus x1. So now 2 negatives becomes a positive. Okay, now we're going to, again, distribute over here. So I still get y plus 1 on the left side. On the right side, 5 over 2 times x, that becomes 5 over 2x. You can write it like that. That works just fine. And then 5 over 2 times 2. So remember, we times the top part. 5 times 2 divided by 2. So 5 times 2 is 10. So I'm going to erase that. I'm going to write 10 there. And then 10 divided by 2 is 5. So I'm going to erase that and I'm just going to write 5. So they're almost done. Now we just got to subtract 1 to both sides to get rid of that one. And you'll see that y is equal to 5 over 2 x plus 4. Then one more, 17. So again, this is like the one up there where you have to find the slope yourself, because you don't know the slope here. So m is equal to, so that's my x1, y1, x2, y2. 2 minus negative 2 divided by negative 5 minus negative 3. That gives me 2 plus 2 and negative 5 plus 3. That gives me 4 over negative 2, which is negative 2. That's your slope. So write them in point slope form. Y minus my y1 right here, negative 2, is equal to my slope, x minus x1, which is negative 3. And then you just had to distribute and simplify this down. So it becomes y plus 2 is equal to negative 2 x plus 3. And then now we can do the distribution. Y plus 2 is equal to negative 2x minus 6. And last step, you need y by itself. So I get y is equal to negative 2x minus 8.